Hello everyone, this is Tim, and this is going to be the last video I do for RPG A Day 2015. Hopefully you'll enjoy the aliens quotes that I'm going to pepper throughout this, and I'm going to go through and just answer the rest of the questions. It's been a lot of fun to answer these. I really appreciate other Tim out there for motivating me to start these to begin with. He had a very cool series of videos talking about the first questions, the first days of this challenge, where he was role-playing out a creature of the abyss, a demonic entity of some sort, and it was really creepy. The voice was amazing. I'll put some links down below so you can check those out. But without further ado, I'll start the questions. How long was I out there? I promised her that I'd be home for her birthday. So unlike my other videos, I don't actually have the fancy hat and the glasses, so gotta do the best I can with no props and just my big melon of a face. But the next question for day 22 is, what is my perfect gaming environment? And this is an interesting one because I think it's changed. It used to be a face-to-face sort of situation with like props and maybe some music in the background. But these days I really enjoy just audio only. I played a lot of games over Skype, and for me, just hearing that voice and the description of things is pretty cool.
Did IQs just suddenly drop while I was away? It's what we call a shake and bake colony.
I'm not sure why, but games over Google Plus Hangouts tend to have a little bit of technical difficulty for me. And yeah, you can run audio only over Google Hangouts, but a lot of people want that face and the various physical cues and etc. That goes into role playing on that. I'm still warming up to Google Plus Hangouts. I'll have to get used to it because I'm going to be running a Brigade Con game. But yeah, for me, just hearing the voice lets me paint the mental pictures, that theater of the mind, easier than a Google Plus Hangouts or face to face. I think probably because there's less distractions as well.
Spare me, Burke. I've had my psych evaluation this month.
Hey Hicks, you look just like I feel.
For day 23, what is the perfect game for me? And this is a really tough question, and I think it might not have an answer. So let me think.
I prefer the term artificial person myself. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
I think if you held me down and tortured me and made me pick a favorite RPG, it would probably be basic role playing or one of the D100 roll under sort of engines that just seems to speak to me. It's a good generic system. So if I had to pick one, it would probably be basic role playing.
You heard the man and you know the drill. Asses and elbows. Hudson, come here. When I get back without you, I'll call your folks.
The problem with the term perfect, though, is it's a difficult one. Some of the other YouTubers have discussed it. What is a perfect RPG? I think to describe it, maybe I'm describing BRP here, is it needs to be flexible, needs to allow house rules easily, and you can make the argument that any RPG allows house rules easily, but it might not be the case. There's some that are so ingrained with every single mechanic that if you yank out one subsystem, you kind of mess everything else up. I kind of noticed that with Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 and ripping out attacks of opportunity. By doing that, it made more work for yourself in other areas of the game.
If you like that, you're gonna love this. The area is secured, Ripley. The area is secured.
Another aspect of the game that I would like is it to be just rules light, not a lot of rules. You don't spend a lot of time looking things up. Once you get the rules pretty much down pat, you don't have to reference things or I've noticed some RPGs have very little exceptions to all these rules. Like, here's the rule, but here's 3 exceptions, and those ones are kind of hard to keep in your head sometimes. You often mess them up, or the players will complain about you doing things. You're like, no, I think I'm right, and then you look and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not so right. Maybe I actually screwed that up. Sorry, I'll try not to screw up that in the future.
It's hard to believe that there's a little girl under all this. Nice pet you got there, Bishop.
So there's a quest for perfection, trying to find that perfect game that, maybe that's not the right way to look at it. Maybe the way I look at it more is that I'm trying to find the perfect game for the campaign idea I have in my head, or the perfect game for the setting that I like to run. So I'm not really a one rules guy. Like I don't like always play D&D or World of Darkness or whatever. I like to try to just experiment every single time and find the system and setting that seem to work well together. Sometimes you got to twist things or change rules, but so I don't really look at it as an overall perfection, but really just a perfect game at that time in your life for that particular campaign for that unique setting. So that's the way I tend to look at it. And for me, BRP as a generic system can handle a lot of things, so that's why I picked that one.
I'm not making that out well, Hudson. What is that?
Hey, you tell me, man. I just work here.
Nobody touch nothing.
For day 24, what is my favorite house rule? And if you watched any of my videos, you probably know I'm a pretty big fan of optional rules and house rules. So again, it's a tough one. These are some tougher questions towards the end. Uh, One of the rules from Dragon Warriors is a shield rule. I talked a little bit about this in my O5R uh, video, but basically there's a 1 in 6 chance that a shield can be used to block a successful attack. Something that hits your character, you can basically block it with the shield, and I really enjoy that. I don't know if I guess it's a house rule if I jam it into a like D&D or something like that. So I'm gonna go with that one. There are many house rules I've done. I'll try to make games more lethal at times. So like D&D 5th edition, I changed the death saving throw and just kind of made it just like one save, like it's just a death save, based on like a con modifier or something like that. So it's just down to one roll. I don't know if the players will enjoy that or not, but and I like D&D 5th edition because there's lots of optional rules in the DMG that you can use to change things up and modify the game, which is good. I think D&D is better as a big toolkit of rules to mess with than like one way or the highway.
Look, Apone, look, we can't have any firing in there. I want you to collect all the magazines. What do you want us to use? Harsh language? Please, kill me. Kill me.
Day 25 is my favorite revolutionary die mechanic. Yeah, probably the one that sort of broke my brains open and they leaked out my ears when I read it was Houses of the Blooded, because it's a very different game than any other system that I've ever ran, and there's more narrative control in the hands of the players. In that game, when you roll dice, it's called a risk, and you basically roll, and if you succeed at the roll, you don't succeed at the action, but you are given narrative control. So the players rolled over whatever, got a number of successes or got rolled high enough, they got to describe what happened. And if they failed, then the game master would describe what happened. So for players like me that are into tragedy, which is basically one of the themes of Houses of the Blooded, even if you succeed, you can describe in graphic detail how your character messed up or didn't perform the action that they wanted. So it's a different sort of dichotomy, I guess. Instead of success or failure, it is just who gets to tell what happened. So that's probably the mechanic that I would pick for this one.
Ah! They're coming out of the goddamn walls! Where's Apone? Let's get the fuck out of here!
I guess also for like an honorary mention, the first time that I ran Labyrinth Lord, which is a retro clone of Basic and Expert box D&D, they use side initiative, and up to this point, every single other RPG I had ever ran had individual initiative. And what really struck me about side initiative is just how quick it was. I really didn't have to worry about order or holding your action, any of that stuff. It was just, let's roll a d6. You roll for your side, I roll for the monsters. Whoever gets higher goes. If it's tied, it's simultaneous. And I really just enjoyed how easy that was. It was cool that the various characters could cooperate together, and one could hold this side of a log, and the other character could hold the other side of the log, and they can do things together without it being too complicated. So side initiative for me was really like a fresh of breath air. So even though it's an old mechanic, it was new to me. So I'll list that as an honorable mention.
Drake! We are leaving!
Ripley, you blew the transaxle. You're just grinding metal. Ease down. Ease down.
Day 26 is another sort of weirdly worded one. I'm not really exactly sure what this means. I probably should have watched Day 26. But favorite inspiration for your game? Huh. Wish I had someone to answer this for me like Autocratic usually does, but I don't.
I ain't going back in there, man. I ain't going back in there. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening.
I'm gonna pick the Return of the King animated movie. I don't know if that's exactly what you want for this question, Mr. Autocratic, but just thinking about the desperation of the characters, the challenges that they face, the overwhelming sense of dread and doom of Frodo and Samwise moving through this terrible, dangerous place in the fields of Gorgoroth. Uh, yeah, that's probably what I would pick. I like that sense of dread in there, the danger, the threat of death, and I grew up with it. That was my Barney growing up, and it's probably influenced me in a lot of different ways that I probably can't even list. But but yeah, the Rankin and Bass version of the Return of the King is actually still my favorite, even after the live action versions came out. I even like the songs.
I say we take off, nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
The next one's kind of a strange one. My favorite idea for merging two games into one. Again, I'll have to think about this one.
They mostly come out at night. Mostly.
The favorite thing that I've done is I've used the Serenity RPG with all of the verse flavor from the Firefly slash Serenity, uh, you know, basically setting from Whedon. But yeah, I used the White Wolf World of Darkness rules, just a D10 dice pool sort of system, with a lot of the flavor from the Serenity RPG. The various special abilities, some of the names of the skills, and I really enjoyed running that. I ran a lot of that. I enjoyed that there was botches in there, the old World of Darkness sort of thing. A lot of people say the new version is better, but it's just more intuitive for me. Just you pick an ability, you pick a skill, and you roll it. It just seems very simple, elegant. I enjoy the dice pools. The ones and botches sort of represent all the hard luck and difficult situations that the characters have to work through and get through to survive on the fringes of society, out in black.
Why didn't you warn them, Burke? Why didn't you warn them?
My thrash metal superheroes of the apocalypse was another game that I sort of mashed together. I used BRP and really just song lyrics from various metal bands. So that was a lot of fun, just trying to mash different genres together. I guess that's not really the question, but mashing genres is a thing that BRP does beautifully. I'm sure things like GURPS and other systems out there do the same thing. So it might not be the answer you're looking for, but I had a lot of fun running that. People rolled under certain skills like blow shit up, and guitar solos, headbanging was a skill, and I was very loosey goosey with what actually did anything in that game, but it was a lot of fun. Probably one of the more memorable games that I ever ran.
Look, I made a decision and it was a bad call, Ripley. I made a bad call.
Day 28 is my favorite game that I no longer run, and the only one that I can really come up with is Rollmaster. I spent almost a decade, I believe, playing this game, running this game, having lots of different characters. All the neighborhood kids, when they think of role playing, call it Rollmaster. It wasn't D&D for us. So I really enjoy rules light systems these days. And even though I have a lot of nostalgia for Rollmaster, I even tell myself maybe I'll run a modified version of it in the future. I'm not sure if that'll ever happen. It is a cool system. I really enjoy certain elements of it, especially like the spells, spell lists, very detailed. Even the number of skills, but whenever I think about Rollmaster, I think, why wouldn't I just run a modified version of basic role playing instead? The D100 plus modifiers was kind of a headache, and just rolling under a percentage with a BRP D100 system just seems just more intuitive, easier, faster, less math involved. So, maybe a hacked version of BRP and Rollmaster. Maybe this actually goes back to that other question that I didn't really answer the right way. But yeah, Rollmaster is the answer for this one.
Hey, listen, we're all in strung out shape, but stay frosty out there.
And also, as an honorary mention, I can throw another ice game in there, Iron Crown Enterprises of Harp, high adventure role playing. I played a lot of this. I tried to get people to like it, but again, it just came down to that D100 mechanic. It wasn't really anything that people jumped on and enjoyed. The magic system of Harp was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed how you can bump up spells and put more power points into things, but other systems do that as well. So high adventure role playing, I have a bunch of the books on my shelf, but sadly I don't think I'll ever get a chance or really the desire to run that again.
You're dog meat, pal. You're dead.
Day 29 is favorite RPG website or blog. I used to read a lot of blogs. I don't do a lot of that anymore. I try to keep up on them, but trying to keep up on YouTube videos is pretty tough, and that takes up a lot of my free time. But I do enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, with porn stars, Zach S, D&D with porn stars. That blog is pretty interesting. He has lots of cool ideas. Just the creativity that man has, just I'm envious of. So that's probably the number one I read. There's also the Hill Cantons blog. There's just a bunch of them, a bunch of the OSR blogs. I'll stream through them and see what's going on there.
Remember, short, controlled bursts.
Favorite RPG playing celebrity? Really, the only one that comes to mind is Vin Diesel. He's very outspoken about his D&D love. So, quick response, Vin Diesel.
You always were an asshole, Gorman.
And last but not least, day 31. What is my favorite? Let's get the question here. What is my favorite non-RPG thing to come out of role playing? Again, a tough one. Got to think about this one.
You now have 15 minutes to reach minimum safe distance.
Don't know if you would consider my YouTube channel a non-RPG thing, but so I talk about role-playing games a lot. But I think that's going to be my answer. Because I was into RPGs, I started this channel, started interacting with all these strangers all over the world that were into the same things I, am into. And it's been a lot of fun just interacting with everyone. It kind of surprises me how much I do interact with these people that are in so many different corners of the world. Bumped into a lot of people, hung out with them, and it's been a blast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, all that good stuff. Hopefully these videos have been entertaining. This one's a little bit more serious. I was kind of really goofy in the beginning. But I just want to nail them out, get them finished, and go on to the next thing, whatever that is on my channel. So thank you very much for all the people that interact with me. Give me something to look forward to. It means a lot to me out there, guys and gals. So take care and enjoy this lovely little hobby that we have. See you later.
Get away from her, you bitch!